The Hedgeless Horseman here. It's August 19th, 2022. In this video I'll discuss a few juniors, some with news out. But first off, just gonna take a look at Snowline Gold. The stock has just been relentless, making new highs pretty much, at least several days in a row. And obviously if you're active on mining Twitter, it has, stirred up quite the commotion. I mean, this is kind of, I guess, typical. I mean, the more this goes up, the more, some people get pissed off, which is, again, human nature. I mean, nobody wants to miss out on a rise like this, and especially if your portfolio has been performing quite badly. I think people get even more pissed off, and that's again just human nature, even though a lot of people pretend that they're just objective, etc. But it's like there's quite a few hypocrites on Twitter. I mean, I try not to be a hypocrite. I'm probably a hypocrite now and then as well. So as always, when ego and money is involved, it's going to stir up a lot of emotions. So far I have not taken any profits in Snowline. Haven't taken any profits in the family portfolios either. Is that good or bad? I mean, who knows? I have no idea where this is going in the short term or anything like that. I'm just waiting to see if the case is intact, because if these next holes come out, then we can see that, I mean, they don't need to be barn burner holes, but if we can see that the path to a, hopefully 10 plus million ounce system is there, I think there's more room to go, obviously. And I think, like I discussed in my piece, I think blue sky is a lot higher than 10 million ounces, based on what we're seeing right now. If you include, just from Valley alone, I think there's certainly a case for it to be the possibility of it being much more than 10 million ounces. With that said, it's like, investing is a marathon, not a sprint. I'm not in Snowline to flip the coming assay results, for example. I have no idea what expectations are priced in. I know why I am in it. I know, if we see, 0.7 grams per ton across the board, I think the case will take a hit. I mean, if it gets big enough, that'll be good, of course, but it's like my dream scenario still is like, 1 gram per ton, 10 to 20 million ounces. So I'm not in it for the assay results. And I mean, like I said in previous video, typically I want to take profits before assay results, but that is also dependent on what kind of system, etc. I mean, we know the visuals in terms of vein density and visible gold, etc. We don't know in what order they'll release the holes. I mean, some holes will probably not more than, 80 meters of maybe 0.6 grams per ton. I mean, some are at the edge of the intrusion. If they release those first, there's going to be a reaction, because down, I think, because not many people will care about the fact that that those are like the least interesting holes from assay result perspective, if you know what I mean. But who knows? I mean, I think, again, I have no idea in what order they're gonna release them. I think some holes will be really good. I don't know if they'll come later, come first, whatever. That's why I don't try to gamble on this. I'm trying to take a longer view than the market, obviously, in the forum, etc. Everybody's very excited, want to see assays, and everybody's discussing, the daily movements back and forth. But like I showed in a very early video I did on Snowline, when it was trading around 50 cent, I think. I described, hopefully this will be I described it as having one of the highest blue sky potential in the entire gold junior space. So, I mean, if this case is intact, I can see myself, hodling this, not with my entire position, because, my position is already big, and it's gonna get absurd at some point in time. I mean, some would probably say it's absurd right now already. But in that case, I'll hopefully be able to just hodl Snowline for who knows, maybe years. And my goal I've set up for myself is like I aim for 50% per year. To compound at 50% per year. So I mean, if Snowline just goes up 100% in 2 years, okay, a bit more than that to get to 50% compound rating, I guess. Well, actually, no. Okay, let me take that back. I'm happy, let's say, with 100% in 2 years. That would be a stellar result, obviously. So can I see Snowline from this point, this valuation, go up 100% in 2 years? Yes, I think so. So I'm not in the business of trying to guess where the short-term assay results are going to take this. I just want to see that there's growth potential here and that the case is intact, because then I can be comfortable hodling a lot longer, etc. So I have no idea what's gonna come out of the assays. I don't know what the reaction will be. I think people should be prepared for huge swings, up or down. And it's like if you have a too big of a position right now, there's certainly nothing bad to take profits. Obviously, I mean, a profit is a profit, and because I'm a bit fearful that Snowline has done very well, but I also don't want to encourage people going all in or anything like this, because I've been around Twitter, etc., and the forums for quite a few years now, and I know what happens. I mean, if a story goes well that I've been publicly bullish on, you'll get a few thanks here and there. If a story goes south, I will never hear the end of it. So I mean, I think again, it's like, don't take risk you cannot afford to take, or use money you cannot afford to lose, even in a paper loss scenario. It's not worth it. I don't want that. I don't want that on my conscience, that some guy went all in and then for whatever reason Snowline went south, went bad. I don't like that feeling at all, because even if you have a decent sized position, if Snowline plays out as we hope, or close to what we hope, or 50% of what we hope, you will be happy with the result. You don't need to have a huge chunk of money and risk it all on one play. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Okay, I think Snowline is quite unique in terms of risk reward, and I don't see cases like this too often, but that doesn't mean there will never be another case like this, or a equally good opportunity, etc. Yes, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, figure out, visualize how you would react if the stock goes down 50%. Can you stomach that or not? If you can't stomach a scenario of that happening, even if it's a paper loss. I mean, here it went down like 40% over 2 months. So be ready for anything and know why you own it. Know why you own it. Know kind of what you want to see. It's like the weekly chart is even more impressive almost. I mean, I don't trade based on technical analysis, but this is the weekly log chart. It's accelerating. Let's just put it like that. I mean, that's obvious even to me. And you know, it appears that it's broken out of this. If it closes around here, it appears it will be breaking out of this purple channel here, and it has broken out of this overhead resistance, etc. But again, next up is the assay. So we might get I have no idea how the stock's gonna go. Maybe we ramp into assays and then boom, we retest this channel. So maybe it goes up 20% from here and then down 30% or whatever, and then up. Or maybe the assays are horrible, even though I don't think so. Or maybe they're better than expected. It's like, I have no idea. I just want to see a case that's intact. So if we get, you know, good holes, decent to good holes, yes, this just confirms that yes, this is actually probably, you know, 10 to 20 million ounces at least. Then I don't think this valuation will even come close. It's like, you know, for a base case, because there's been a lot of shit thrown at Crescat for their, you know, for Quinton estimating, you know, a 55% chance of there being 50 million ounces, for example. It's like, nobody knows how close that is to. I mean, it's either there or not. I mean, Mother Nature, we don't know what Mother Nature has in store for us, and it's been there for millions of years, obviously. But when I like to think about, again, risk reward, okay, what's the base case? What do you want to see here? And can I get some upside potential for free? So, I mean, this is part of what appears to be a high grade corridor here. And these holes grade around 1 gram per ton. Let's say some of these holes are actually higher grade, etc. And we have a 400 by 400 meter. I mean, you can put this square anywhere and you can, you know, probably more have a rectangle, because the high grade corridor is actually 600 by 300 meters. At least that's what it's estimated to be, and let's say 430 meters deep. Regardless, let's say we have a block 400 by 400 meters, 400, and it's 430 meters deep. And let's say the average grade is 1.5. Maybe some areas like 0.7, maybe some are 2, you know, whatever. Like, let's use 1.5. That's 9 million ounces. That would be 9 million ounces already. And these can go down to 800 meters depth. And all of this other stuff appears to be mineralized in some way or another. So to me, this is a slam dunk risk reward case, even at this market cap. Where did I put? Yeah, the Snowline valuation here. Okay, this is after today's close, $2.72 per share. Basic market cap 347 million Canadian, fully diluted 411 million. That's obviously more than most juniors right now. But obviously there's, I don't know, a single junior that has a target like, a gold junior working a target like this right now. Market cap in USD 268, fully diluted 285. If you account for cash, for example, now the basic enterprise value is 316 million Canadian, and fully diluted, if all warrants, etc., would be converted, all options and warrants would be converted to shares, we would have a market enterprise value of 355 million Canadian, with almost 57 of that in cash. So I'm just, again, trying to, because it's hard. I get paranoid when I look how the stock is going up, because I mean, how many examples of, I mean, typically when you see almost an exponential rise, I mean, that's FOMO, obviously, in one way, shape, or form. I mean, it might be informed FOMO, but it still looks like FOMO, and that's like, you know, it's easy to get paranoid because you don't see that too often. And there's a bunch of, you know, crap stocks that, you know, get FOMO'd. I mean, thousands of cryptos went exponential, for example. So I tried it. It's like, okay, forget about the noise, forget about the daily swings, forget about the trends, forget about the technical analysis, etc. Just look at, okay, what am I paying for all this? You know, to keep me grounded, because I get paranoid, you know, let's say bearishly paranoid when I look at how the stock has performed lately. But when I actually, you know, remind myself of the actual case, and especially, you know, the base case, and then add blue sky, and then we have down here would be, you know, mini valley, and then we have the enormous Gracie trend, for example. And then I compare it to the valuation. So if I think Gracie is at least worth 30 million Canadian, I think that's lowballing it, given that, yeah, you know, you can put whatever number. These are my subjective opinions. I'm biased. I have a big position in Snowline, and I cannot guarantee that this will be a home run. I mean, I'm up quite a bit on Snowline, and I hope some of you are as well, but I can't guarantee that this, you know, will be a 10-bagger from here, or even that this will be a success at all. So just keep that in mind. I'm not looking for certainties, because there are none. I'm just looking what I'm risking versus what I can gain, and what the probability, obviously. I'm just, again, highlighting that. Don't come to me if this goes south and say you promised that this would be a, you know, continue to be a wild success. I'm not promising that. I'm saying I have a bunch of stocks that are down like 50%. I have huge swings in my portfolio. Most cases do not work out. I hope and I think there's a good shot of this working out, but again, I cannot guarantee anything. So please keep that in mind and don't go all in or anything. But okay, back to the point. Let's say we have 30 million for Gracie. Jupiter, I mean, that is an episodal gold discovery. So I would think it's like 20 million. I mean, that's a 3-kilometer trend, and they think that Avalanche Creek is pretty much on trend, so that might be a huge district. So that alone might, you know, end up being something quite large. But let's say 20 million. I don't think that's, I don't know if it's conservative or not, but it doesn't look extremely high to me for a, you know, they've hit 100 gram meter holes there. And then we have the giant Ursa target and, you know, the 16 other projects, which includes a lot of intrusion related systems. And given what we know about Valley, I would think that, you know, that speaks well to neighboring intrusion related gold targets. So I think their whole portfolio outside Valley, or let's say Rogue and Jupiter, being valued at 20 million is very conservative as well. And in that case, we have a basic value, let's say, call it like that, put on Valley alone at 277 million Canadian, and fully diluted 342. So let's, for argument's sake, say that 10 million ounces would be worth $1 billion, $100 per share. I think that's low. Well, I think if they reach 20 million, for example, I think the price per ounce actually goes up. But let's stick to that. I mean, Nova Gold, for example, reached $200 per ounce during the 2020 high in sentiment, and they own 50% of the giant Donlin Creek deposit, which is almost 40 million ounces. So that's like 20 million ounces for valued at 4 billion. That's $200 per ounce. But let's just say 10 million ounces, $100 per ounce. That's 1 billion, obviously. So it's pricing in, let's say, a 34% chance of this rectangle here. You know, proving to be true, that there is at least a 400 by 400, 430 meters deep zone grading 1.5 grams per ton. And that's just for this 34% chance of this being present. And that would assume nothing is priced in for all the rest, Mini Valley, Gracie. Gracie, but not Mini Valley. I don't think this valuation is overvalued, just based on balance of probabilities and, you know, implied value, basically. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. That is the sole reason why I have yet to take any profits. But I don't know what the market is going to do in the short term. Maybe there are some good assays, some bad assays, but there will be some hot money taking profits, so it goes down like 30%, and then it keeps going up because the case is intact. You know what I mean? Or maybe the assays surprise to the upside and this slingshot's higher. No idea. I just want to see that this case is intact, that we'll get a, you know, on the way that there's a decent shot at actually having like 10 to 20 million ounces. And obviously, if that looks to be true, then, you know, there's possibility, I guess, for like 30 million ounces. And if Gracie hits, who knows what will happen then. Anyway, some other news. Cassiar Gold provides mid-season 2022 exploration campaign update. A bit over 8,000 meters have been drilled at Cassiar North. Step out and 6 infill holes at the Taurus deposit. I mean, I since there's both step outs and infill, I mean, I think they're gonna hit some bulk type mineralization. And then they're testing a new target as well. That could be interesting. Cassiar South 5,000 meters have been done in 7 step out and 2 exploration holes. So I mean, the Northern Explorers are soon. I haven't seen. I'm not sure if I've seen any Northern Explorer put out any assay results yet. So there's going to be a hailstorm of assay results coming in the coming months. I think Cassiar has a good shot. I think they're going to, you know, de-risk more gold. That's I think that's not even a stretch to say, especially since they're you know, going to be step out holes, and obviously, you know, infill holes from Taurus. I think that they're going to have some good grades. You know, how much will the market care? I don't know. It depends on the results, obviously. But it's like, yes, they are steaming ahead, and I think they say, yeah, the current rate of drill production may allow for the program to exceed 20,000 meters. So there's going to be a lot of holes coming from Cassiar Gold, and I think this case is cheap. Right now, I mean, they have permits, they have a small pilot plant, etc. It's in BC. Headwater Gold, very exciting news release. I mean, you'll have to dig into this one yourselves. I think it kind of, you know, Newcrest getting involved. Remarkable. District Metals intersects 25.5 meters. The interesting thing about District, I mean, it's cheap. It's around $10 million in market cap. I mean, I think it's ridiculous given the team they have and the assets, etc. But zinc isn't really sexy right now. They haven't had, you know, barn burner holes either. So it's like it's hard to get retail buyers excited about a story like this, a zinc story in this kind of environment, if we don't have bonanza holes, etc. Even though miners in Sweden or mines in Sweden typically can operate at very low grades relative to the rest of the world. So all else equal, 1 gram per ton, for example, would be 1 gram per ton AU equivalent would be more valuable in Sweden than in most other places. So that means that lower grades here could be as economics as higher grades in most other places. But the interesting thing here is a bonanza grade gold interval of 384 grams per ton AU and 855 grams per ton AG over 0.4 meters. And they capped this for the zinc calculation. Actually, I mean, obviously a pretty sizable cap. They capped it at 10 grams per ton AU, even though it was 384. I don't really know what this means. This is bonanza stuff, and I did not expect to see this. Anyways, like this, I mean, this would be extremely economic in Sweden. I mean, this is way above what Garpenberg is mining. They will need to build this out, of course, but obviously a very good result and a very interesting kicker here. How much the market will care, I don't know, but obviously they are de-risking and moving stuff along. Magna Mining announced signing of definite agreement to acquire Lonmin Canada and announces a private placement offering up to 20 million of subscription receipts. So they are building a small empire up at Sudbury. Okay, empire might sound a bit too hyperbolic, but I really like that. I mean, this team has built a $1 billion company before in this very jurisdiction, and they have been very quiet, but obviously they have been doing moves behind the scenes here. So they're gonna acquire the Crean Hill mine, which was apparently a very good historic miner, or historic mine. Significant producer in the Sudbury Basin for more than 80 years. And we believe that the Denison project has potential to add tremendous value through development of the remaining historical mineral resources and the additional exploration on the property. Past production, I mean, these are really good grades, obviously 20 million tons. I think they include, look at some of these hits. It's in feet, so it's harder to see, but it's like 45 feet of 2.5% nickel, 1.5% copper, 81 feet of 0.7, 0.6 copper, 7.3 grams per ton platinum. So I mean, this is obviously historic, but okay. Typically, these mines. I mean, you know how the nickel price has done very well, and the nickel thing is, nickel is going to be extremely important in the green revolution. So this is obviously building up the underlying value in Magna and synergies, etc. I really like Magna. It's my favorite nickel play because of management, insider skin in the game, that they've done it before here, that they think like owners long term, and they're trying to build another mid-tier nickel producer basically. So it might take a few years, but they're so cheap. I think, what's the... Oh, yeah, it's halted, but it's like 21 million. Of course, that's going to be higher soon, but it's... Yeah. This is extremely exciting stuff. FireFox extend mineralization at mineralized zone at central zone at Mustajärvi project in Finland. They hit... 1 meters averaging 47 grams per ton from 33.5 meters down hole. This hole was colored approximately 40 meters northeast of the easternmost drill hole at the central zone. So, I mean, they are showing pretty much that this is a very long mineralized trend. And the thing about FireFox is that I mean, it's the underlying value in their land package. Where's the overview? I mean, we know B2 Gold and Agnico Eagle, and I think Kinross is involved with Orion, for example, and we have Rupert, the Ikari discovery. We have Ikari West, which is Orion. I mean, they're huge land package. I think they could do a joint venture in a heartbeat in this part of Finland. So when you think about it, it's like, okay, what's the 18 million Canadian? They have the Mustajärvi. I mean, that will require more. They have had some very good holes up here, I think, primarily, and here. But at the same time, I mean, even Orion doesn't really get recognition for what they have drilled. I mean, that speaks to very poor sentiment. But would I say FireFox is cheap for sure, given what they've drilled here. I mean, whatever you want to say that is worth, and then you include what the value would be for their, enormous land package. I mean, you can't really say it's not cheap. But of course, right now that doesn't really matter. We have to wait for the sentiment to change, because a lot of juniors are like, almost regardless of what they're doing, they don't get much credit for it. But one day we get back to the good old days of higher sentiment, and then things will get going again. And who knows, maybe FireFox will hit a bonanza hole or something that really kicks things off. But I'm just hodling my FireFox shares. One of many that I would really not mind adding to if I didn't have a position. But there's just so many stories out there right now. I mean, Jesus, there's no shortage of cheap stories. And then you have like Snowline, for example, which is not cheap based on what is confirmed, but I think it's cheap based on what is known. Still, thanks for listening. Oh, and by the way, I'll be going on vacation tomorrow, so I probably won't do another video in some 1.5 weeks. So I mean, I hope you'll survive until then without hearing my rants. And yeah, just keeping cool, calm, collected. Don't make rash decisions. As always, have a longer time frame than the market. That's my view. I mean, that's, I think, the biggest edge. Hopefully we won't have another washout. Hopefully the markets won't crash and take juniors who are already undervalued down even further. Maybe we'll get a big rally in juniors soon. I do not know. I have no idea when it comes to timing such things. I just know that as long as I hold something cheap, the risks are to the upside, and it can take a long time. But again, it's like I would be happy with 100% in a year. Obviously, many are down more than 50%, so 100% would get you close to even. But hopefully, you'll have some good stories that help that. And if you add here, of course, it's going to be easier to actually. You're going to make your money back quicker in terms of getting back to even from the last high, for example, if you know what I mean. So again, be disciplined. Don't try to time the market, is my advice. Again, stay rational. This is a very emotional sector. It's going to be volatile. It's always going to be volatile. But keep your eyes on the price and know why you invested in whatever stock you invested. Consider me biased with all shares I talk about. Many here I talked about, if not all, are sponsors. Snowline is not a sponsor, but I have a significant position in that one. And again, don't go all in on any stock. Not even, really, in my opinion, unique case like Snowline. Be prepared for huge swings. Any junior, even the most successful juniors, will have 30 to 50% corrections along the way to, a possible multi-bagger. So you have to be prepared for that as well. Don't try to get rich tomorrow. Consider me biased. Do your own due diligence. I hope you continue to have a good summer, and don't do anything stupid. Okay, bye guys.